We're back, man. It's been a long break, Coach. I don't even remember the last time we did a live show. What, the draft, I think? So April? We're sitting here
Man,
August 8th. Been a minute.
man, been a long time. Yeah,
Guys, man, we hope y'all been good, man. Welcome into the Blue Bloods. As always, man, me and Coach are back. Coach out there grinding in fall camp, trying to find a place to stay cool down there in Lorman, Mississippi. I don't know if there's a cool place in on 61, man. I don't think it exists. I've I've been up and down 61. It's hot everywhere, but man, I'm excited. Appreciate y'all tuning in. But Coach, man, it's been a few months now. How we feeling, man? Fall camp in full swing. I know you're busy right now, so I appreciate you jumping on with me, man.
man, full swing. Got a lot of things going on. Trying to take care of a lot of things. Practice is going great. Kids are in a great space, man. We're improving every day. So happy to be back on with my boy, Mama. We back on that side. You know what I mean? So it's time to go, baby. It's right here, less than 30 days away. Football, college football, in your face, baby. Full speed ahead.
Man, we got to catch up at SWAC Media Day. Lot said. Some
Yeah.
interesting things in the preseason poll, man. The first thing here is, kind of like, what did we miss, Coach? Because I think we missed a good bit. Some massive offseason topics that have been discussed around. We're not getting this show might be called the Blue Bloods. We're not getting back into the HBCU Blue Blood debate. We're going to skip that. I feel like we've had that debate for 3 straight years now. We know who the Blue Bloods are. We're not arguing this anymore. I'm going to go ahead and bow out of that conversation personally. Coach, I mean, I think the big news recently that I could think of, Delaware State, Marquis Adams out, hits the
Yeah.
portal. Immediately, 24 hours after, they bring in Caden Bennett, who, funny enough, that was the year me and you every week would come on YouTube and cover these FCS games. You've seen Caden Bennett. Me and you have talked about him on the show. Super talented kid. I mean, Coach, when you look at Deshaun Jackson, Delaware State, how big of an addition was Caden for them?
That's huge. Even though the Marquise loss was big, I think they make up ground with this. Now it's going to be up to them to keep the kid upright, but I don't think they fall off. I think they may have gotten a notch or two better, actually.
Yeah. Now the one thing is Caden's only got 1 year, so you would have had Marquis for more than one. I guess that's
Right.
the one drawback, but I think Caden last year, man, there was not only some injuries, man, there were some off the field things, and also too the staff relationship there. I heard was a little bit strained. Who ultimately was fired and had move on after the season. So I think a fresh start for him is really good. And I think in the offense that they're going to run, I think it really is going to be tailored to his skill set where he can use his legs, get out of the pocket some coach. He's not going to have to make a ton of high level throws. He's going to have to make some quick decisions. And I think that's where Caden is really, really going to thrive. I love that addition for them. I think the other thing, coach, man, I mean, the off-season chatter. I mean, man, there's been a lot of. I feel like it's been a little quiet coming out of PV lately. Not
Yeah.
as not as much
Starting off
talk.
with a ruckus.
It started off with a ruckus, so you had that hype train rolling, but then also too, coach, you had the MEAC debacle at media day. I don't know if you saw it, where the preseason player of the year was the running back from Morgan, Jason Collins, who's a really really good player. Coach, he was second team all MEAC, but was the preseason offensive player of the year. I mean, how do you fix like voting wise? I don't understand how that happens because if like it's the same voters, right? For the players of the years and the all conference teams, how did he get enough votes to win player of the year, but not first team all conference?
And that's something that you've been talking about for a while. That sometimes maybe some of these ballots should be taken out of some folks' hands, um, and I think this is one of those cases because obviously some people didn't realize who a either they voted for Player of the Year, or b when they went first team, second team, that they didn't know who they were actually checking off, and probably was like we used to do back in the fourth grade when we get that scantron and we just
Just
go A,
all the
B,
way
C,
across.
D, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, that you can't have that kind of mishap before it's announced. I think you got to have somebody that's in place to make sure that that type of blunder doesn't happen.
Coach, well, the topic today is buy or sell. HBCU football stocks. Me and Timothy did an FCS version of this, coach, on the podcast, and it was one of our most popular episodes of the offseason. So why not bring it to YouTube, bring it to the HBCU space, and talk about it? I think our guy Scotty does something similar on his show during the season as well. But coach, we're going to go conference. We're going to go between the two conferences. We're going to have the SWAC and the MEAC. We're going to separate them out and ask some of the similar questions. But first, to combine them, we're talking Celebration Bowl contenders. I'm gonna give you some teams, and I want you to tell me if you're buying or selling this team as a Celebration Bowl contender. This is a team that not only can make it to the Celebration Bowl, coach, but if they get there, they have a chance to win. And we'll
Let's
start
go.
here. North Carolina Central.
I'd buy that. They have an opportunity to get there, and they've shown that they can get there and win. Now they've got some stuff they've got to take care of, but you can't doubt Coach Trey at this point. So I'm buying that one.
I'm very curious to see how good this team really could be. Because, coach, I think on paper, and I said this on a few shows that I've been on just as a guest, I think the expectation, like the bar, should be 10 wins for this team when you really look at their schedule.
Hey, someone in the comments, I finally figured out, yay me, I finally figured out how I can see the comments when we're on. They say check your audio. My audio's fine. They say check your audio.
This is the first time it's the first time ever. I just made sure all the plugs were good, so we'll see if it clears out. It also just could be the internet. I had to restart the Wi-Fi before we started this thing. But coach, I look at the team. They've returned 9 starters offensively, 5 to 6 defensively, and this is a team that for 2 years now, coach, has been one bad game away from
always
being there.
Yep. Yeah,
I really personally think this, and I don't think Trey, because Trey said Trey's told me, man, he's watched the show occasionally and he loves what we do. I don't think he would back down from me saying this, is that this is the make or break year for me. Like, this is a year you can't misstep with everything that South Carolina State's replacing. Howard's trending in the wrong direction. Morgan might still not have an offense. Norfolk and Delaware State are probably a year away from competing. You can't lose either one of those. There's not a clear contender that you should slip up on. And on top of that, too, coach, you get South Carolina State at home.
Yeah. Shout out to Coach, man. If you're listening in between practices or whatever, man, shout out to Coach. Come on, talk with us. Yeah, this is one of those ones that you can't. Like you said, they had the debacle at Howard a few years ago, whatever. Then they had the one mishap the year before that. This has got to be the one, like you said, because all signs point to them. Now they've got, I think a favorable home schedule.
Yeah.
And I'm still not sold on, and I'm sure there's a couple teams we'll get to, still not sold on some of those teams that, they'll be facing. A win is never easy to come by. But I think they've got some deals where they can kind of, hold it in the middle of the road. They should be right there at the end.
You know what's crazy, coach? They returned 5 offensive linemen that played over 480 snaps last year.
And that's huge. With
a returning quarterback in Walker Harris, who's by far the best quarterback in the league, right? But the other question, though, coach, is they've been more of like a run-first team, right. I would say. Are they going to switch that up? Because you have so much experience at quarterback, you obviously have the better quarterback. Are you going to see Trey and Matt Leone kind of open it up a bit more through the air?
I think they do what they do. Coach Sam Washington had a quote a few years back. Hey man, all we do is what we do. We sell steak. That's all we do. We don't fry chicken. We don't do lamb chops. We sell steak. And I think this is what they do. I think their offense is what it is. I think Walker brings another dimension to it, which is going to take it a couple steps higher. So it'll be interesting to see if they are 60-40 in the other direction pass, or if they stay the way they've been, 60-40 run somewhere in that area.
Are you buying or selling? Because we'll kind of mix it in here with the prop bets too. Buy or sell them winning 10 games next year? And let me run through the schedule for you, okay? That way you have all the information here. They open up with Southern in the SWAC MEAC Challenge. They have New Hampshire at home, at ODU, Old Dominion, which is a winnable FBS game in my opinion. Like they're not a powerhouse. Fayetteville State D2, at A&T for the Aggie Eagle Classic, at East Texas A&M. They have a bye week at FAM, another bye week, Delaware State at home, at Howard, Norfolk, and South Carolina State at home, and they close the season at Morgan.
I would buy it.
Okay.
I would buy it.
I don't know how you feel. I think the trap game is that road game at FAM in the middle of October. Bragg's just going to be a tough place to play, but to have a bye week before it is huge and a bye week after it. So you're not really worried about the emotional high coming in or whatever the emotion may be coming out of that game, win or lose, right? You have a week to kind of calm down. And no offense, I think Delaware State's going to be much improved. You get Delaware State at home for homecoming after that next bye week. So you kind of have a week that you should be expected to win by a lot. Even if Delaware State's improved, Central can't lose to Delaware State, regardless of how good Delaware State may be next year in year one. That's a game that I don't think Trey himself would be okay with losing.
Yeah, I think if they lose that one, all bets are off. But I would go with that FAM game, and then I would go with the East Texas game. You know, those are swing games to me. Like you said, East Texas should be, but you know what I mean? Like we say, no win is easy. So I would go with that one and kind of go between those two teams. If they get those two, I'm definitely buying it.
I would replace East Texas A&M with New Hampshire, even though that New Hampshire game's at home, just because New Hampshire's always been a more formidable opponent. I just don't know what East Texas A&M brings back this year, Coach. Like we did our Southland preview. I think they're going to be in the bottom tier of the Southland. Now, I will say that's a long trip, Coach. Durham, North Carolina, out there to Commerce. That's a mean trip. So maybe
but I gotta believe that could flying, man. I got to believe they're flying.
Yes, absolutely. You can't take a bus trip. Are you crazy? Like you would have to leave on like Tuesday.
The Eagles have got to be flying there, so that'll take a little bit off that road trip, just a little bit.
Now this one, again, I think this is an easy one, and we'll probably talk about this team more later. Jackson, Coach, buy or sell Celebration Bowl contenders.
I mean, football wise, you gotta.
I know how hard it is.
You gotta buy it, but where I am and who I am, I'm selling it. But you know, they're the return guys. They're the champs, and you know my rule. Until someone beats the champs, they're the champs. You know, they come back number one. That's just the way it is. That's just the way I've always seen it. If you win the national championship, I don't care if you graduate everybody. Your university comes back to me as the number one until you lose. And that's just kind of where I am with that situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of a weird spot, right? Because I'm thinking back to the Celebration Bowl champs, and I think Dave could correct me if I'm wrong. Because Coach, I was younger when because listen, I mean, I think when A&T kind of went on their run, I was still in high school, so I was watching football when I wasn't covering it at the level I am today. I don't think A&T returned 25 players who played over 100 snaps from any of those Celebration Bowl teams. Maybe the first one when they went on that streak of 3.
But they, what they did though, they before the transfer portal, they were able to get key pieces. Kick returner from South Carolina who ended up being the number one kick returner in the country at all levels that one year. I remember him. They got a couple guys that kicked down from, P4s.
You got Tariq Cohen and, you had some studs on the team.
Yeah. So, they were in the transfer deal, but not really in the transfer deal before that happened. You're the champ until somebody beats you.
Yeah. I think the one position that they do have a lot of turnover, I thought they addressed it well, Coach. But again, they can be talented on paper. It's just you never know with some transfers, even if they're highly touted, what they're going to be. Right. And that's a lot of people's skepticism with PV, right? PV brought in a lot of guys who are good. Coach, we have film, we have grades on them. We've seen them play at the D1 level, so we know they can contribute. But are they going to be that same player when they get to PV? Jackson did have to replace a lot at corner. specifically, right? Because they ended up bringing Hawkins back at safety. They brought BJ Washington back. But KJ Chisholm is the only player at corner who played over 200 snaps last year. And he started a few games as a true freshman. But you really have to hope Levi Wyatt, Jordan Helton, Camden Hardy, Kamari Rogers, a lot of these guys are instant starters like you think they can be. Because I really do like the Wyatt kid from McNeese. I know you played them last year, started the past 2 years at McNeese and corner, all Southland type of guy. But that's the one spot, Coach, I look at, I'm like, okay, they don't return as much talent at corner. And that's a really important position in the SWAC to have talent at.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And then, the other piece about that, B, is that, you run the risk, again, and we've talked about it before, you dabble in the transfer portal and you bring a lot of different personalities in there. And it's all gravy when you're winning. But when you hit that rough patch, how are all those personalities going to come together? Are they going to come together? Is it going to mesh right? If we can remember a couple years ago, there was one hype train that had a whole bunch of guys, 5-star from Michigan, 4-star from Michigan State. And then first game, second game, you look up, none of those kids are on the roster. You know what I mean? So it's a long way from now until that thing kicks off the first game. And then it's an even longer way to the end of the marathon, because a lot of things can happen. You got to still remember, man, we're dealing with 18 to 23-year-old, and then in some universities, 26-year-olds. I just thought I'd throw that out there. Kids. So, it's one of those deals, man. If it all comes together, it's a great thing. If it does not come together, i.e. us a couple years ago, you end up 6-6, 6-5, 5-6.
Yeah. And I'm buying it. I mean, I don't think, me personally, I think I find it hard, right? Because even because like me and you have talked about, man, as an all corn coach, you got to rep your school, bro. All corn's going to the bowl. But I think when you look at the media, I don't know if I've seen any media members that aren't, let me say this, that aren't associated with another university that are unbiased in this, not think Jackson can repeat. Because I think when you look back at the past few Celebration Bowl champs, you look at that Buddy Pugh team, you look at Trey Oliver in Central, you look at FAMU in 2023, there was turnover, or you lost some key play. I don't think you've seen the team return this much continuity year to year. So I think, for me, looking back at all those Celebration Bowl teams, this team is best primed to go back to back since we saw A&T win 3 in a row.
Yeah, and it's again, man, each year is a different year. I don't care if you have a team of 60 and you return all 60. That team is never going to be the same team as it was the year before. It just doesn't work that way for one reason or another. And then the other thing that you got to realize is that you got to have just a little bit of luck, and you got to have the ball bounce your way. I.e. Southern,
they were so good.
They won 4 games last year in overtime or double overtime.
They had 5 overtimes against Bethune.
They caught lightning in a bottle. Texas Southern has them beat. Just take the safety, and you miss the punt. Some Charlie Brown type stuff, and they win the game. Gotta have some luck. Gotta have a bounce go your way. Again, I don't care if you have the 69 Jets. If you don't catch lightning in a bottle and get a couple bounces, man, it's going to be tough uphill battle for you.
They were so good at just turning it on in the fourth quarter. You look at Alabama A&M. You look at, I believe it was the Bethune game. You look at Texas Southern. You look at the Alcorn game. They turned it on in the fourth quarter. Now, I mean, I think you guys made some key mistakes late, especially defensively. But listen, Southern was playing their best football late in the games. And it's if you got to that fourth quarter and Southern was in striking distance, you didn't feel comfortable if you were the team on the other sideline.
They found a way.
Because, Coach, people who haven't played, you guys, because I'm sure your players get the little scouting reports and everything. As a player, you see that, right? You study the team. You're like, man, this team is really good at one-score games. They're good in the fourth quarter. You're on the sideline, Coach. You look up. There's 10 minutes left. It's a 3-point game. They got the ball. It's man, I'm a little nervous here. This is kind of where they thrive, even if you've been winning the whole game.
And you actually start to do that, and then the kids start to do that. So after about week 3 of them winning in overtime, double overtime, anytime it got close in those games, I'm just telling you, man, the other sideline was like, oh man, here we go, that kind of deal.
Mm.
So again, you got to have a little luck, bounce your way. You got to beat the injury bug. All those things have got to fall in place for you, and that's kind of what makes the sport. You know what I mean?
So let's talk about Southern since we're here, Coach. Excluding your Alcorn side, buy or sell Southern as a Celebration Bowl contender. Finally getting over the hump. How many SWAC championships have they been to since 2013? I think that was the last year they won it. Like
13. We beat them in
4?
14. Played Grambling. We beat them in 17 and 8. No, we beat them in 18, 19.
Jackson beat them
Jackson
twice
beat them
now.
twice. 6.
They've been to all of them pretty much. Let's just say almost all of them except for when
Everyone we
PV
didn't go
got
to,
there.
they went to. Pretty
Yeah.
much. Everyone we went to, they didn't. When we switched over, they went to. Um, I gotta sell it. I gotta sell it. They got a lot of things going on over there, and we could talk about that as well. But we'll say that for a later show. But they've got to prove it. To me, it's one of those deals of where it's a put up, or I don't want to say that. It's a what have you done for me lately type business, and I think that's what it is. So I've got to sell it.
Yeah, I'm selling it for right now. The one caveat I would say is if Woods takes that step at quarterback, I think they could be better than they were last year. Because I think quarterback's been like their issue for these past few years. Whereas like I think individually, Southern's had insane talent across the defensive line, in the secondary, at wide receiver, at running back, on the offensive line. And it's just like the quarterback's been the missing piece for them. And I think Jalen Woods showed promise last year as a freshman. He's just got to take that next step because I think you got Lewis coming back at wide receiver, Fuller at tight end. Coach, you have 5 offensive linemen that played over 460 snaps coming back. That's a
My
lot of
Lord.
talent on the offensive line. And you got that bad man off the edge. At the end of the day, regardless of what team you rep, Kelby Givens is an issue off the edge.
Oh, got to account for him.
Every play. Now, the one concern I have, and they brought in some JUCO size for the interior. Who's the guy across from him? Because, Coach, you experienced it with Malachi Bailey. If you don't have a guy across from Malachi, they're just going to scheme to stop Givens off the edge. You can double him, chip him, whatever you need to do. Slide protection. Who's the guy that can win that one-on-one matchup on the backside? And that's going to be my question for them because I think secondary-wise, they're really good. Elijah West, Herman Brister, Xavier Spencer, Horatio Johnson, all those guys come back in the secondary. What's a defensive tackle and who's that opposite edge rusher? Because I think Givens is going to need some help off that edge or everyone's just going to scheme to that one side. And you're going to have to move him around and be real creative to get him those one-on-one matchups.
Yeah, like you said, it's a game that they'll have to prove early. More times than not, because if I'm the person that's across from them, that other guy's got to show consistency. We're going to slide that thing. We're going to chip him. We may even bring a receiver to kind of get in his way, something to slow down that jump. And then we'll let the other guy beat us. You know what I mean? We're not going to let him beat us, but we'll let the other guy beat us, and then we'll go from there. I can live with that. But knowing who he is, like you said, they've got to have a plan to at least try and take some of the pressure off of him.
Buy or sell South Carolina State getting back to the Celebration Bowl?
Man, I love my guy Jordan O'Daffer over there. Good friend, coached him, the DC, Michael Stiles, cornerback coach, Coach Chennis, a lot of guys over there I know, but I got to sell that one.
I'm with you. I just think there was too much turnover. Specifically offensive line, linebacker, and in the secondary.
Quarterback.
Obviously. Now, they got Stubblefield coming back, who looked good in limited action last year, coming from Incarnate Word. They also brought in a James Madison transfer, who they're really high on, Coach. Like, they think he could win the battle and be the guy. I think they're going to be good. They'll still win a bunch of games, Coach. I just don't know if I see them And it's also too, I'm so high on Central that it's hard for me to buy this and buy Central if I'm as high on that. Because if Central goes and wins 10 games, like it's really hard for me to see South Carolina State being on that level. Like for me, I look at the MEAC, I think it's Central, coach, a big gap, and then you can just kind of list the rest of the conference out wherever you want to put them. This is the year Central's got to win the conference because they're that much better with that much returning talent. So that's why I'm selling. I still think South Carolina State could win like 8 games, coach, with the schedule that they have. So I still think they'll be good. I just don't view them as a Celebration Bowl contender.
No, and then the thing that I think was really, really underestimated, undervalued, however you want to put it. Eric Phoenix grew up in that offense, right? He grew up in that offense. They brought guys in that's now learning this offense. Eric Phoenix was with him when he first got to uh, Benedict, right?
Benedict, yeah.
He was there. He learned. He went through the process, took some lumps, whatever, whatever. So when he made the transition to SC State, it was an easy transition because nothing changed. The verbiage, none of that stuff changed. Now these guys are coming in. Now they may be more talented than Phoenix, but they're not going to be where he was within the play system of knowing all the ins and outs of what's really going on. So that's why I say, you know, it's going to be tough, and that's that kind of helps me with my sell on that one.
Buy or sell, the Celebration Bowl features 2 teams that are not Jackson, North Carolina Central.
I buy that.
Oh, okay. Who would be the teams? Like, give me your contenders here.
I mean, you got to go with those guys from Lorman, always. You got to go with them. I think I'm not buying into it fully, but they've been right there, and they've been a position away as well. The Bama State hype train has been there. If you don't know anything else about them, they're going to play really good defense. So they're going to give themselves a chance. I think, and I know Morgan lost a lot, but this is one of those years that I think Morgan has got to start taking the steps to, as far as winning some of those games that they're supposed to win offensively, not just defensively, because defensively they're going to be really good. And again, catch lightning in a bottle. Outside of Morgan, I'm not sure if SC State, like we just said, even though I sold it, to me, they would be, outside of Morgan, they would be the only team that I would be like, okay, could be a big surprise to end up there in Atlanta facing those guys from Lorman.
So I'm selling for now because I personally, like, I think those are the 2 favorites for me. Like I just said, Central's that good. I think the team I'm interested in is Norfolk in the MEAC because they return way more than you would expect for a coaching change. It's because a lot of those local kids on that roster, coach, why would you leave? You just hired a local legend, a guy that all those kids probably grew up idolizing. Why would you not want to be on Michael Vick's first team? Yeah, so they return a ton of talent. Now, they lost a handful of pieces. Like they had an offensive lineman transfer down to Alcorn. They lost a handful of other guys. Like not getting Stamarian was a huge knock for their transfer portal class. But man, they have a ton returning on offense. And coach, I think they signed 5 players from Hampton. They walked into Hampton's facility and just picked who they wanted and said, "Let's go. We're going back across the state." That's what happened with that recruiting process. So I think Norfolk could be super interesting if they figure out quarterback. I look at the East, and if FAM had a quarterback that knew who their quarterback was and was a quarterback that I believed in, I could possibly make that argument. But to me, until FAM figures out quarterback, coach, I can't pick them to be above Jackson right now. And also, too, I think FAM has a few games that are dangerous. Even at home, there's like you play Central, Alcorn, Jackson, you have Southern. Like there's a handful of games that could go any which way if you're not playing your best football. And they were just playing so bad toward the end of last year, coach. And I just,
pieces, and like you said, not to cut you off, I'm sorry, and they've got some pieces that they gotta replace, and I'm sure they feel really good about what they've done in recruiting. But those pieces have yet to play minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it looks good in scrimmages. It looks great in practice. But when the bands are playing and the popcorn's being sold, what are we going to do? How are they going to perform? So again, this is what makes a sport the sport.
I think when I look at the other side, like the other side of this conversation with the MEAC, like outside of Norfolk, I don't really until Morgan shows me something on offense, I just can't like. Coach, I've tried to drive the bandwagon for him because I do think they were talented with Elijah and that defense. It was just eventually, man, you're just gonna have to show me that you can find a quarterback and you can generate any sort of offensive production. Like to me, I can't rock with them being a true Celebration Bowl contender until I see them put up points against a good team. Because there were
Right.
times where they were really bad last year,
And there
and
was
that worries me.
and there was times that they were really, really good, and there were games that they should have won easily and couldn't score over 14 points. Um,
Yeah.
so if they've ever get that fixed while they still have pieces in the building, this would be the year if they could ever do that.
Buy or sell Alabama State finally living up to the hype. Like, is this the year the hype train delivers? I feel like this is a program that hasn't got as much hype this offseason as we've seen the past 2 years.
I think they learned their lesson.
Ooh.
they were they were full steam ahead the last couple of years, so I think they've kind of tilted it back, man. Nah, it's all in fun, but I think they have a lot of. Uh, I think they may have the most expectations in the league, and it may not be as loud, but everybody's thinking it. They may not be saying it, but everybody's thinking it because they have been that one player, that one position, so to speak, away from turning the corner. And you've had a couple years to make that happen and hadn't been able to make it happen. So I think they are in the same boat as, when we talk about Southern. So I think, you got to sell that until they actually get it done.
Let me. I'm. I would. Okay, so one, I think it depends on how you define the hype train finally delivered. Does that mean just get to the SWAC championship? Does that mean win it? Right? Like, because to me, it's probably just winning the division would be the hype. Like, if they make the SWAC championship, coach, in this competitive, they lose to Alcorn, PV, Southern in a competitive game. I don't know if you can consider that a disappointment. That's probably a big step forward for Alabama State. But like, you look at last year, coach, they lose to Central by 7. And then the time they get to Sanford, coach, they're playing a 5'6" wide receiver
At
as their
quarterback.
quarterback.
Yeah.
They lose to Sanford on the road by 5. They lose to Grambling on the road in the hole by 1. And they lose to Jackson by 6. The only team to beat them by double digits last year was FAM at homecoming. And I believe that was the first game they had, or first or second game they had the wide receiver at quarterback. Coach, I'm not buying it, but I still think people are not giving him enough credit for winning 7 games, coach, and losing 4 games by single digits. Again, with a 6-string quarterback at wide receiver who, coach, you played against Key. I don't know how we saw over the offensive line. Like, the kid's small. We got to give him a little bit of credit for winning 7 games.
Got to. Losing both of your quarterbacks in a matter of a few
2
weeks.
weeks.
You know,
Yeah, they lost both their starters in the season opener, and then lost the second string, I think, week 2 or 3. Like, it was insane bad luck.
And to hold it in the middle of the road, yeah, you've gotta tip your hat. You got to give some type of credit for that. And they've done it. But I think where the backlash comes is because you put so much into the hype train in June, July, August, and then Plan B, Plan A goes awry, Plan B blows up, and now everybody's like, now what? And like you said, all they did was go win 7 games, lose a few games by 1 score, could have went either way, with someone that was not even factored in to be the quarterback. So, hats off to him, no doubt about it.
I do wonder where Bama State fans are putting the expectation.
Now
Like
that would
that
be
line of disappointment / Okay, at least I just wonder because Coach, let's just say their schedule. I mean, I will go through their schedule real quick because we're going to do an over under win episode. So we're going to do all this for all the teams. So that's why we're not really doing buy or sell over under win totals. But Coach, at UAB, at Southern, Miles, a bye week, at FAM, Bethune, at Jackson, bye week, Magic City Classic against A&M, at PV, Texas Southern, Mississippi Valley State, UAPB, and Tuskegee is their schedule. The one thing that concerns me, Coach, at Southern, at FAM, at Jackson, at PV.
Yeah, their road schedule is probably one of the toughest in the conference, if not all of FCS football. So they've got to find a way to get two of the three to give themselves an opportunity for sure, for sure.
I'll be very curious too, because I mean, Body's coming back. He's going to be the starter, from what I was told. He's fully healthy now, Coach. We saw what he did 2 years ago at Texas Southern when I think he threw for like 2,000 and I believe he's the all-time single season record holder for total offense. This is the year Body's got to be special for them because there was a lot of games last year that the defense won from them, won for them, and they lose their D coordinator. They don't return a ton of talent defensively, Coach. I believe they only return one player that played over 320 snaps on defense from last year. Now they got some young guys, John Lewis, Jacobs Jr., Sims, that are going to be good, but you would like to have that starting experience coming back, and they don't have that. Can the defense be as good and play to the level that we've seen over the past 2-3 years? And that's the question. They should be good, but can they be that elite unit that we've seen with a new D coordinator too? That's huge.
That, and then, the thing is now you got to remember, it's been almost 2 years since the presumed starter has
Yep.
played in a football game. So that's going to be a very, very uh, interesting fun fact to keep up with, watch, however you want to put it. Because I don't want to say rusty, but there's got to be something falls off from not being able to play for basically 2 seasons.
Got to adjust to the
So
speed of the game, things like that.
all that, and practice is practice, no doubt about it. But as we all know, real game action is real game action. So it's going to be interesting to see from that standpoint, and to see who the number 2 quarterback is.
I believe they brought in a transfer from Jacksonville State. That's probably going to be number 2, but they also brought in like 2 or 3. I want to say 2 other FBS guys, so it could be any of those. This is my favorite question. I can't wait for the chat's going to go crazy on this one. Coach, are you buying or selling the hype around PV?
I gotta sell. I gotta sell. Just because, man, I've been on the other end of that microphone, bro. When you talk about all the people you brought in there, new staff, new everything, and you give me the hype train, all of that. You hadn't done anything just yet. You know what I mean? Now, those kids were really good at their other places. I don't know. Maybe they were. But now it's got to all be put in the same place at the same time. How good and how quick can it become good? So, I got to sell on it, and be interesting to see. Selling tickets
Okay,
now. Selling
well,
tickets.
let me ask you real quick. What would be considered a successful season for them?
I think anything over 500.
Okay, well, I mean, if the bar is there, you got to buy it, right? Like, I don't think they go sub 500. Like, especially with their schedule
Oh no, their schedule
is
is set up for 7 wins, I think, maybe something like that.
yeah. They got Texas Southern week 1, obviously, right, and that's on the road in Houston. They have UTRGV, who this is the first year they've ever had football.
Better
Got to
win
win
that
that
one.
game
Better win that one.
at Rice. Probably a loss, but a winnable FBS game. I don't think they get that one. Northwestern State, Coach, who you played last year, the only winless team in college football last year, the FCS level. You get Grambling in the State Fair Classic, where they've performed well.
That might be their
At
first test.
Yeah, but then you back that up with at Alcorn on the reservation. You get a bye week, which is huge. You get a bye week at Southern. So they have some tough games early because this is where they get Lincoln, CA. They get Bama State at home. Their road test is Alabama A&M, and then they get UAPB and Valley at home to end the season. Like,
Yeah.
the floor might be 5 or 6 wins.
Yeah.
That would be like if everything goes wrong. So I'm buying it a little bit. I don't know if they win the West, but this is a team that if all they have to do is catch one of Bama State, Southern, Alcorn, and if they catch them, Coach, in the mirror you can see 8 to 9 wins with the favorable schedule they have.
Oh yeah, with their schedule, no doubt about it. I just, again, it's a lot to be desired, but then there's a lot that's left out there as well.
I'm with now. Listen, Isaiah's a PV guy. He said championship or bust. If it's that,
Ooh.
I mean, dude, that. But at the same time,
Isaiah, man, are you saying it's that, or is he saying that's what they're saying?
no, like, so he's saying it's championship or bust. But then someone else in the comments said, "How do you not set the bar below where he set it?" He said it's Celebration Bowl. Like, we're going to. That's our goal.
You gotta. I mean, when you get on that podium and they hand you that hat, and the AD and the president has that jersey, and it's got your name on it. You're not gonna get up there and say, "Well, we want to finish third." You're not gonna get up there and do that. You know what I mean? But
Isaiah
it's
said
just
that's
one
the
of those.
expectation across the board. Don't matter the
Hey,
year.
I like it. I like it.
Listen,
I
and
like it.
I'll say this. We haven't had a show in a while. I like the confidence. I really do. Like, I get the hesitation, but Coach, me and you have talked about it, right? You said you missed the coaches caravan in the SWAC where they went around and they were talking real
Yeah.
bullish about their programs.
Yeah.
I wish more coaches were like this because my pushback here is, did y'all just want him to come into space and be like, yeah, we're going to be ass?
Nah, I think more people were expecting this. I don't know, maybe watered down, not as
Like,
brass.
coach speak?
Yeah,
Because if you want
not
coach
as
speak,
brass. Uh, I love it, but I know the masses. Uh, the masses, it rubs wrong, no doubt about it. But it's one of those deals of, man, you've really put a target on your back, and I'm okay with that.
yeah,
I
for
am.
sure.
I'm okay with that. Now you got to make sure everyone within your program is okay with that and understands that they've got to play up to that. You know what I mean?
Well, the
And that's
good
got
thing
to
though is
be
a lot of the people on his staff have been with him,
no doubt.
and so they knew it was coming, right? Like, they understand that that's how he was going to talk. Now, the one thing I will say though, and listen, you've said this too, you can't talk like that and then duck if you don't live up the expectations. I
Yeah,
need
yeah,
him
yeah. Don't get
talking like,
mad.
if you lose to Texas Southern
Don't get mad.
on September 1st on that SWAC media call, I need you talking just as reckless.
Be ready. And don't get mad when somebody asks you, hey, what happened?
Yep.
Nah.
And I know Tremaine, and listen, from what my experiences with Tremaine, he's going to be talking like that. Coach, they could go 0-12, and next season, Coach, he's talking. The talk has not changed because I
I
listened
love
to
it.
him at Valdosta. He did that. He did it at Valdosta too.
I love it. And he created a monster there, no doubt about it.
Yeah. So I'm buying that they could be competitive. I don't know if I'm buying like they're a true title contender yet, right? I think it's going to take a year. And it's mainly quarterback. I think they got some talented guys there, but I still need to see it. Coach, this is going to be an interesting one because I've heard this from everybody. And of course, I hate how this is all in your division. So I know it's hard for you to talk about because it's like all the talk's been in the West. Buy or sell Texas Southern as the dark horse of the SWAC.
I got to sell it. I know I've been doing a lot of selling, but I got to sell it. They lost a lot. Again, they're one of those programs that kind of fly under the radar with their postings and things like that. Uh, I just, again, that's one of those deals of where they've really got to just jump out there and just like basically, in street terms, just start choking people out for me to be like, oh, maybe we were wrong, that kind of thing. Um, it would be nice, but I got to sell it. I got to sell it.
We're okay. So just as someone who was in their division last year, with everything that because people forget they lose Cooper. I believe it was week 1 against PV, so they didn't have their
Yeah.
starting quarterback. They lose to Lamar on the road by 3. They lose in overtime to Southern. They beat Grambling. I mean, so they had some wins. They beat PV week 1, right, in a dominant fashion. Coach, if I remember right, all of us, including me and you, had Texas Southern last in the division. I thought last year was an outstanding first year for Ditchman and that staff. Coach, 500 in conference, 5-6 overall. If you have a 12th game, you potentially get to 500. I thought Texas Southern outperformed expectations last year.
Especially for as late as he came in. You remember now,
Oh
he
yeah,
came in well after. He had a lot of kids hit the portal. He pieced something together, no doubt about it. But then the same thing happened as when he was coming in, happened this year. You saw a mass exodus from kids. Um, I just, again, they've been really quiet about what they're doing and how they're going about it. I just, again, in street terms, they just got to start choking folks out for me to be like, whoa, okay, maybe Dishman is doing what he's supposed, that kind of deal. But I gotta sell it right now.
yeah. I'm gonna sell it for right now because here's why I'm selling it. You can't have PV and Texas Southern both being the dark horses because I'm also high on Southern and Alcorn. So like everybody can't go to the top.
Right, right,
I
right, right,
don't
right, right.
I don't think I don't think Texas Southern necessarily regresses, but I have them about where they were last year, coach, in that 6-6, 5-7, possibly 7-5 if they catch somebody range. But I
Right.
don't know if I have them as like a true contender for the West. And to be a dark horse, you have to be that. And I
Right. And
just
I'm
don't
with
know
you.
if I can. I don't know if I can get there. They have some talent at wide receiver, have some good talent at offensive tackle. I really like their defensive tackle, Demarcus Thompson. Atkins comes back at edge. Linebackers should be super talented. And I think defensive back is my question mark, though. I think they only return one guy at
Had a,
corner who played about 200 snaps. They got a lot to replace in the secondary.
yeah, had I think three, well, two graduating. I think maybe the other one, possibly two kids hit the portal uh, on them. So, yeah, they've got a lot of inexperienced stuff in the back within their program. Now, they probably went and got some transfers to fill in, but like you said, guys that were within that program um, no longer there. So it'll be interesting. And then they had a solid bunch of guys up front that they lost.
Yeah.
Um, so they've got some stuff they've got to finish. But I agree with you. You can't say everybody on that side is going to be the dark horse or the favorite. It just doesn't make sense. And we wouldn't be credible here on our platform if we said that everybody has an opportunity to be a champion.
Now, and I know you got to cut here in a minute, so we'll speed these last few up. Buy or sell Delaware State as a dark horse in the MEAC.
I got to sell, man. That's a lot of games to make up. You know what I mean? Unless Carson Wentz is going to play quarterback and D-Jack himself is going to go out there and play receiver. That's a lot of games to make up. That's a tough conference. You know, to go from what, one win to 10, that's a +9. That's going to be tough.
Yeah. I think they can be good, coach. I don't think they're going to compete for the title, though. Like, I could see Delaware
Could be
State
interesting.
winning like 5 games, but I
It'll be
don't know if
interesting.
they can get because to win the MEAC, you're going to have to win for what be 4-1 probably.
At least.
There's a lot of games you got to win it down the stretch, and you also get Central on the road if I'm not mistaken too. So it's going to be really really tough to get that one. And then I mean you got to run the table because that's who they open up with in conference play, coach.
Got to get help.
The, Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. Now, buy or sell 3 teams in the SWAC needing head coaches after this year.
I'm running through the divisions. 1 second there. My fellow brethrens of the business. I'm I'm gonna sell that. I'm gonna sell that.
Okay.
I'm gonna sell
Okay.
that.
I
Um,
think there's 2 that are pretty
and that's all.
likely odds.
And that's all I can get to is two. And then everything else is pretty much uh, a new program starter or a first year, maybe second year guy.
Yeah. Now, this is interesting. That would probably be my third. Is maybe Grambling.
Mm.
Because I don't know, that one's not going to be someone who gets fired. That could be another thing.
Oh
And
yeah. Because of where he came from. I
yeah,
can see that.
because I think there's a few head coaches you look at, because let's keep it in the SWAC. There's a few head coaches that could be candidates for other positions at the next level. And that's where I bring it in. I only think 2 have the chance to get fired unless something unforeseen happens, right, coach? Off the field, like something like that. But I think 2 could be fired. I think there's probably 3 other coaches in my mind I could think of that could leave for other opportunities.
Yeah, I'm with it. I can do that. But again, in my mind, there's only two that I say, the seat's hot, so to speak,
Yeah.
that will fall in that category.
And then the last question, coach, we're going to roll out of here. Buy or sell, the SWAT gets their first FBS win since 1985 this year.
I got to buy that. I got to buy that.
Oh, okay.
I got to
Any
buy
in
that.
mind?
Just because, again, we, nah, I ain't playing with that. But I just think, it's got to happen at some point. It may be in Stark Vegas, uh, you know, so I got to buy that. PV, they've got an excellent shot
Rice, yeah.
where they go at. Um, the people up the street, I think they've got a decent shot where they go. Um, yeah, it happens.
Okay. I'm
This is
selling
the
for
year.
right now.
This is the year.
I want it to happen so bad, man. That would because I need it to happen, but I'm gonna pass right now, coach. I'm a sell, right? If I could hold, I'll hold. But the reason is one, it's tough for a first year head coach at PV to get that right. It's a lot to ask year one to get that FBS win. I think if you expand it to the MEAC, I think Central and ODU that'll be an interesting game. But Jackson Southern Miss is probably the game I look at as most likely. And man, I'm just telling you, the more I look at what Charles Huff has done with that roster, the harder it is for me to buy it.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, man. He's done some stuff up there in Hattiesburg. You get to hear the whispers and things like that. But that game will be a very interesting one. A lot of tickets will be sold.
Oh yeah, Jackson will have more fans there than Southern Miss most likely.
Well, I don't know. This year, the buzz is really down there in Hattiesburg for what they presume him to be able to do. So they're going to come out to see that one. I should say that depending on how their first couple games go, because Jackson's not their opening.
No, they played
Game.
Mississippi State first,
Yeah.
so they could get banged up, right? What Braxton goes down because I really like it was a Braylon Braxton, the quarterback that they
Yeah.
brought from Marshall over, bro.
From
That kid's
Marshall.
a
Yeah.
that kid's a freak, man. I mean, that kid's insane. So I'll be very curious to see what that game looks like. But man, coach, any last words, man? Fall camp rolling. I know we're going to be more consistent here. We got some really, really good topics lined up to get y'all into football season. Any last thoughts, man?
Man, just having a great talk with you, getting back in the groove. Appreciate everybody jumping on during their lunchtime, man. Thank you guys. Remember, it's all in fun. Uh, I know some of y'all take it real serious, but we appreciate you guys, and it's just fun to be back on, bro. And here's to another great season to us. And
Yep.
let's keep it going, man.
Man, appreciate all y'all tuning in, man. Glad to see y'all are still rocking with us after us taking a little bit of a longer break. Me and Coach will probably be back next week. I think we're going to aim for about one a week, man. Coach is super busy with fall camp, so we all probably our schedules probably only match up one or two times a week, man. So we'll try to get one episode, and we're going to be back during the season. We're going to be more consistent, man. Me and Coach, our schedules were just so opposite last year that it was really, really tough to find common ground to do an hour show twice a week. But man, we'll be back this season. But man, for Coach Fred, myself, the Blue Bloods, FCS Football Central on SI, we out for right now.